In November of 2023, the Swell Pod took a 10-day journey across 5 states, traveling 3,580 miles with one challenge in mind.
And that challenge was to interview 100 pleasantly rebellious humans to uncover deep truths about what it takes to create something that has never existed before, challenge the status quo, maybe even change the world.
This is the Kiln Road Trip, created and produced by the Swell Pod.
In partnership with Kiln, Moterra Camper Vans, and sponsored by Taurus.
I'm Spencer McKeown.
And I'm Josh Taylor, and together we're the co-hosts of the Swell Pod and your guides on the Kiln Road Trip. Follow along on the journey.
Be sure to subscribe to the podcast, follow the Swell Pod on social media, and subscribe to your YouTube channel at, you guessed it, the Swell Pod.
This is interview 95 of the Kiln Road Trip, and today we're at Kiln Leucadia in California talking with Sarah Dunn. Sarah is the founder and CEO of Ready, Set, Organize, a San Diego-based organizing firm helping busy families declutter, organize, and enjoy their homes once again. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. We hope you enjoy. Yeah, we got Sarah Dunn. Thank you so much for being on the Swell Pod on our journey to get 100 interviews with 100 pleasantly rebellious humans, and you are one of the 100.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely. So if you can, just for our audience, can you introduce yourself and tell us what you do and what you're passionate about?
Yeah. So my name is Sarah Dunn, and I run a business called Ready, Set, Organize. So we're a team of now 10 home organizers, and what I'm really passionate about is helping people live with less.
I like
and
that.
Getting organized, of course.
Yeah.
But there's like usually something deeper there.
So how did you find this focus area, the idea of organization and simplicity, I guess?
It's something I've always done for myself, and I don't really know. I think it's one of those things you're either you're sort of born with it. And I also know my mom instilled every year. It was like, okay, it's time to go through your room and get rid of things. And so that became kind of habitual for me. But I'm just somebody that is affected by my environment. And I think most people are, even if they don't recognize it. And so I come from an events background, actually. So I worked in events for about 5 years in San Francisco. I worked for a venue, and I found myself, once the event was running smoothly, I would go down to our storage unit and organize it. And that's what I found myself being able to stay up late and do. And I would lose track of time because I was underground in a basement, and I was like, okay, it's 1 a.m. and I've been organizing cleaning supplies.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of leaned into the fact that that was something I could get lost doing. And people would come down and go, wow, it looks so good in here. It's like they felt like a weight lifted off of their shoulders, even though it was just a storage unit with cleaning supplies.
Yeah.
And other things too. But yeah, I started helping people for free, basically doing this, helping friends, people I met at the yoga studio. And I realized doing this has such an impact on people's just overall being that it was it was a calling to start this as a business.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
That is really cool. So would people just kind of see your place, see your space and be like, wow, this is incredible. Can you just come over to my spot? When you were kind of doing it for free for your friends and
yeah, I'm trying to think, especially the first person I did it for. Yeah, my friends, yes. My friends saw my closet and they saw my room and they felt oh, so zen, and they wanted that same thing.
Yeah.
And then for people that didn't know me, the first person I worked with that was more of an acquaintance, somebody from the yoga studio, she just was talking to me one day saying, oh, I'm thinking about moving and I lost my mom. And I could hear all these things that were wrapped up inside of her belongings too. Just the story and the weight of everything that we carry with us. And I said, she's like, I really need somebody to help me get ready for my move. And I said, I can do that. And she's like, really? And so I went and helped her. And it just was such a profound experience for her because she had so much stuff in such a small room. And I guess what I see all the time is people become so crippled by the stuff that they don't even know where to start.
It's overwhelming for sure.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
But now people find me online.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
And you're not giving it away for free anymore. Right?
Yeah, now I don't work for free.
Oh man, this is interesting.
Yeah, I can relate to this. I think my mom could probably use your help. I think me and my wife could probably use your help, but like, it is absolutely really crippling in a sense that, you know, just the it can be so much stuff. And I think the emotional attachment side of things is just really difficult too. How do you, when you get into somebody's space and help them organize and help them make decisions about their things, how do you help with that emotional attachment? Like, it seems like something, because I guess it sounds like it's more organization. It's not removing things, right?
We remove a lot of things.
Is it removing a lot of things?
Yeah. I mean, and I tried to, a lot of people will contact us and say, I need to get organized. And I'm like, really what you need to do is get rid of like 50% of what you own or 20% of what you own.
That seems like a hard thing.
Yeah, they'll send me pictures and they'll be like, I want this organized. And I'm like, I'm not a magician. I can't like create space. So we do have to I have to set the expectation that we're going to start to get rid of things. And it's something that's hard because for me, it comes easily. Like, I'm not super sentimental. I'm pretty good at getting rid of things. Of course, there's things I hold on to that I don't need. But for other people, they have a different relationship to their belongings that I don't have. And so that can be hard. And I guess how I always come back to like, okay, where do we start is like, let's start with easy things like old magazines, or most people have like an excess of Tupperware, or reusable shopping bags. These are just like a few things that I never jump in and go, okay, like let's go to grandma's heirlooms, you know, because there's too much,
right?
Like there's too much emotion and like sentimentality with those belongings. But if you can start with something easy, even books, like a lot of people have like hold on to the books because they think, okay, if I let go of the book, I'm letting go of the knowledge. But like, you can go get the book again. You can go to the library. You can get it on Amazon. And I'm not suggesting you just like discard to get it again. Most of the time, people won't just go buy it again. Like, you read the book once and you're not going to pick it back up, you know, but you feel like letting go of it is like, oh, I'm going to lose that knowledge. But like, that's not true.
Yeah.
But yeah, something I wanted to say earlier too, that I was thinking about is like, because you guys have been on this road trip and you're in a small space, right?
Oh yeah.
And
you're not coming out to assess our van.
I actually
no.
I didn't organize, but I did clean it like an hour and a half ago.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
But that was my first time cleaning. I have to give Spencer a lot of credit. He kept it pretty clean. So
yeah. Well, when you're
sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
No, it's okay. When you're traveling, you have to be creative with like what you bring. And when I was younger, when I was like early 20s, I got this opportunity to basically travel for free for a year, for like 9 months. So I packed, and it was all standby flights. So I didn't have like real tickets booked. So I had to have everything with me. I couldn't like check a bag, and because I didn't even know if I was getting on the plane. So I pretty much traveled around with a backpack and a small roller suitcase for like 9 months. And I like limited what I brought. I brought like 7 shirts. I had like one nice going out shirt, one, you know, like a couple workout shirts. Like I had it figured out to like a science. And then I would come home from these trips occasionally, like to check back in. And I felt so overwhelmed by like, oh my God, I have 50 shirts in my closet and I don't know what to wear.
Yeah.
But when I had like a very limited amount of stuff, it was easy. I was like, well, the option's just right here, you know?
Yeah.
And so you guys might be experiencing that too. Like sometimes it's tough because they say like a smaller space, you have to be more creative. But with that, like, it's also like a little bit of liberation from just the weight of your stuff and the decisions. And
yeah, that's a really good point. What's also interesting too, though, is part of what we baked into this, for some of these interviews is we'll give a gift, which is a t-shirt, which you'll get when we're done with this. But they have also been bringing gifts to us. So now we have started collecting sentimental items like a brownie mix that was given to us, you know, or a tiara, you know, or
what was that for?
The passenger princess.
Okay.
Gift, yeah. But so now we're just collecting like these little things, you know, that have become like, oh, what are we doing with this stuff? Not that, but it's been interesting.
Yeah, guests are listening.
I know.
I thought they were great.
No, they're good. I'm not saying that they're not good. I'm just saying that we're gonna get home and we're gonna be like, well, what are we gonna do with this stuff?
Are you a hoarder?
Am I a hoarder? I don't think so. I do get sentimental of things. So like an example is this isn't the best example, but like my son and I go on a hike. He finds a hiking stick and it ends up living in a very specific spot at my house. And it's been there for 3 years now, And it's like, but we just collect these little things, like things like a special rock or, a stick. And I'm like, where? So for me, there are sentimental things that I feel like I could probably get rid of, but
I collect. My wife wouldn't let me hoard. So it's a very orderly house because of that. But I do like to hold on to things in case I might need them. Now on the hoarding scale, obviously people that really have severe, I don't know if this is the right terminology, but severe hoarding, mindset, they're holding on to everything, right? Yeah. And they're going out and collecting more on a daily basis. But I'm not sure there's a question in here, but
those shows. So I would watch some of the like hoarders with my wife. That is a really hard show for me to watch. Because I will say, but when growing up, my mom would have a lot of stuff, but it wasn't on the scale of that show. But for some reason, I can't watch that show because I feel it's so hard for me to watch that attachment to those things. It's a really hard thing.
Because it says there's other things going on, I guess. Do you work with everyone or are there some customers that just aren't ready?
Yeah. I mean, going into this business, I thought I was going to work with hoarders a lot because I thought I thought that was going to be kind of my clientele, but those aren't the people that reach out. Right. We've worked with almost 300 clients in like 2.5 years. Wow. And about 5 of those I would say are what would make it to like a television show. There's probably 50 to 100 that I would consider like borderline hoarder that aren't, they're not hoarding like old newspapers and dirty Band-Aids and like a lot of like the people in the show are hoarding trash, I mean, just pure trash. They won't let go of anything. But I think just like in our consumer culture, especially with COVID and all that, there are people that, a lot of doomsday people that overbought like cleaning supplies and just like tarps and like really random things in case like the world was going to end or whatever. And now they're having a hard time like letting go of those things because it's like, well, I could use it one day. I might be able to use it one day. But a lot of times it's like, it's so much stuff that they won't be able to use it in their lifetime, especially if they're older. But yeah, so I would say actually like more our ideal clientele or what's become more of our ideal clientele is people that are really busy, that, both parents are working a job or one parent is full-time mom or dad and then the other one's working a full-time job and they just don't have like the time to get organized, or they went through something really intense like a couple of years ago, whether it was like they moved when they were pregnant or they lost a parent or they had to have like their sister move in with cancer. I feel like I always try to get to like the root or the story behind what led them to like this point, because without that knowledge, it's hard for me to kind of understand where they're coming from. So
what, I like how you said that. How long does that take to get to know them? Because at first I was thinking, well, do you come in and do it for them, which I don't think you're doing. I guess there's some level of understanding at first and then deciding which part of this I'm going to do with you and which parts I'm going to do for you. What's that process?
I mean, we do a lot of it we're doing the physical, like pulling everything out and sorting it into piles. And then they're doing like the purge aspect. So we've pulled everything out of their cabinets and their kitchen or whatever. And then we're saying, okay, we've laid out all your utensils. Like, can you narrow it down to what you actually use? And we'll push them, like a friendly push. And if they don't feel like they're ready to get rid of something, if somebody's on the fence, I'm never actually going to push them to get rid of it because it's a liability for me. Right. Yeah. Like, I don't want them to regret getting rid of something, but I also always tell them, like, no one has ever called me after our services and been like, I regret getting rid of that thing. They almost always say, I feel liberated. I feel lighter. I feel like I lost 10 pounds. Like, those are actual quotes from people. But to answer your question, which was like, how do I get to know their story? It almost only takes like the first 30-minute phone call that I have with them, which is before we ever do work together. It's before they've ever signed an agreement or given me money. so many people will call me and I answer the phone, say the business name, and they just start spewing like, I moved here after a divorce and this happened and I've got all this stuff. And then my mom gave me like her furniture because she moved across country. And I'm like, I just let them talk because I think they need that. Like, I think what we do, I mean, is organization and decluttering, but it's also like some form of therapy for these people. Whether it's cheaper than a therapist, I'm not sure. It depends on how long you'd have to go to therapy, I guess. But yeah, so it doesn't take long for me to get to the story usually.
What tips could you give to everybody listening, to help stay, I guess, more organized in a regular basis in your daily life, I guess?
Yeah, I think setting up routines. So, I mean, something as simple as like resetting your kitchen at the end of the day it's hard. Like sometimes you're like, I don't want to do the dishes tonight, but waking up to like a clean space is going to set your next day off like so much better. I think I remember reading in a book, it was like, I forget what they said exactly, but basically like, do something your tomorrow self will thank you for, So sometimes it's hard. And like I ignored my laundry last night because I was like, my feet are tired. I do not want to be standing anymore. I will deal with this tomorrow. Yeah. But for the most part, if you can really get yourself like in a routine of just at least getting yourself set up for the next day, that can be helpful. And then I think like a real, maybe more practical tip is like never fill a space more than 80%. Because you won't be able to keep it. You won't be able to maintain it if it's like 100% full. Right. And I think that's where we get the resistance with like putting our stuff back. If your closets and your cabinets are full, you're going to be like, okay, I'll just leave it out, But if you have a system set up where it's only up to 80% full and you have a place for that thing, you just put it back. Yeah. And it's no problem. And then I think also it requires like a twice a year revisitation of going through your stuff and going, okay, do I need this? Especially if you have kids. Yeah. It's like kids grow out of things so fast. They get overstimulated with the amount of toys that a lot of these families have. And it's important to just, even if all you do is bin those toys and put them in the garage and bring them back out like next season, just limiting like what they have access to and just making it a regular occurrence to go through and get rid of things. Obviously easier said than done. And that's why people hire us, because it's a lot faster to have a team come in and go, okay, I've pulled everything out and I'm showing you have an excess of Matchbox cars or whatever it is. Yeah. But yeah, those are, I guess, my 2 tips. I'm trying to think what else.
What about new things? Do you have any recommendations on or thoughts on new things? Because so what you have currently but as it relates to, I guess, yeah.
You mean buying new things?
Yeah, exactly.
Like avoiding buying new things?
Yeah, to some extent. I'm just wondering. I don't know. Maybe.
I mean,
maybe
some
you don't
people.
Get to that.
No, some people like say or preach like one thing in, one thing out.
Right.
And I would love to like also practice that myself. I don't. I mean, if I'm being honest, I know that I don't. So like every 6 months I have to go through and like purge again. Yeah. But if you can for some people that's easier. If you get a new thing, you let go of something. I'm also a really big fan of like, there's a couple Facebook groups that you can give away stuff for free or look for something like your buy nothing groups. I had a 5-year-old cousin come to town and it was her birthday. I didn't have a gift for her. I know she's got tons of gifts. Like she doesn't need another gift, but I just posted on the Buy Nothing group and said, does anybody have something that'd be appropriate for a 5-year-old? And my next door neighbor actually replied and said, I got a bunch of Lego sets and like, we can't have Legos in our house because we have a baby. So we'd love to give these on to somebody. And that actually freed up something from her house where she could feel like the liberation. Yeah. So I didn't need to buy anything new. My cousin was still so stoked. She got this cool new Lego set. And then like on the other side, somebody else benefited too. So I think there's more like leaning on our community that we could do in order to acquire or borrow things than necessarily than having to purchase something new.
Yeah, that's incredible.
We could talk about this a lot.
Well, we are at
gone
20
time.
minutes.
Yeah.
All I'm thinking about is the van. No, not the van, the road trip rather. Because I'm kind of comparing this physical thing to, liberating feeling. I'm also wondering, how is it more liberating to learn to do it yourself versus paying? I mean, obviously, like I'm wondering, 'cause I quite enjoy doing it when I do it. Of course, I need to do it more often. But when I clean out, it's like quite nice to do it, right?
It does.
But there's that comment. You can comment on that. But the second thing is, we had a lot of things in our head this week.
This is an interesting question.
Like I mean, a lot of things we wanted to achieve. We've achieved some of the big things, but we couldn't even enjoy. We have enjoyed it. It's been amazing. But we're like constantly thinking of these things in the back of our heads that we want to also do. We've mentioned them 100 times, haven't we? Some of them. And maybe we should have when it was feeling overwhelming, and it's similar to physical thing. It just kind of actually rule them out, close them off, and go, okay, we're not going to do that thing. We were going to post these Polaroids every day to say what number we're at. Well, we just got behind, and that idea. Anyway, do you know where I'm going with that? And I know that's another conversation.
So I don't want to stop that thought or get in the way of that, but I thought you were going in a direction of we go to a location, we interview 12 people. This after the first one, go to the second one, locked focus. By the time that's over, I barely remember what the first person talked about. I thought that's where you were going, because it's like my brain has already, purged that information for let's say the short term, because I didn't need it in that moment. It was like, it's amazing how little I actually remember of all of these interviews.
We'll remember Sarah's though.
100%. 100%.
If you don't, it's okay.
No, I will.
Well, it's recorded.
It's all recorded. We got the photos. It happened. I just need to remember. But I'm sorry if I interrupted you.
No, we do sit in the car though, reflecting, and
we do
remember this feeling, because
I'm kind of over exaggerating too, by the way.
But I mean, I have a brother that wrote Essentialism, the book Essentialism. Of course, that whole principle's basically what you're saying.
That's your brother?
My youngest brother, yeah. And so, but it's simple to say, but anyway, I just think of letting go of this week. Like there's certain things we just need to let go of, like clean out.
100%. I mean, I tell people like the same reason why, like, to not fill our rooms 100%, like clear off stuff off your cabinets off the top, or like sometimes people pile stuff super high in their closets. It's like, leave the top shelf free, because it's like our mind. It's like the same reason why we meditate. We can't hold on to like the to-do list of everything that we want to do. That's why we have to like clear our mind, start fresh, like write a to-do list. And the same thing with like our physical items. Like everything that we own is part of our to-do list or is requiring some bit of our attention. And so the less we have, like the more free it can feel.
It's good.
That's a really good spot. So we just have one more question to ask you then.
Yeah.
It's the same question. That was a great point to end on, by the way. I wish we could have ended it right
we
there.
Can.
No, I do. I have to ask this question. What do you think it takes to create something that never existed before?
Before we get into the rest of the episode, we want to thank the partners and sponsors who made the Kiln Road Trip possible. The Kiln Road Trip is brought to you by Kiln. Kiln is a boutique co-working and flex office community with 13 locations in 6 states across the West, dedicated to providing innovative workspaces that empower your team to thrive. Whether you're a solo visionary or an enterprise-level team of up to 100, Kiln transcends being merely a place to work. It's a hub for learning and connecting with like-minded professionals that will make you and your team love where you work.
And if you haven't stepped foot inside a kiln yet, you really need to. On this road trip, we visited every single location, and trust us when we say, once you see these beautifully designed spaces, meet the talented team, and connect with fellow members, you won't want to work anywhere else.
Locations include Utah, Colorado, Idaho, Oregon, California, and Arizona. And they're growing too, with multiple locations set to open in 2024.
Yeah, so be sure to check out the kiln locations nearest you by booking a tour at kiln.com and answer Swell in the question, how did you hear about us? Once you complete the tour, you'll be entered into a competition where you could win a 1-year membership, their club membership at Kiln.
Yep, you heard that. That's kiln.com, book a tour, and be sure to mention Swell in the question, how did you hear about us?
The Kiln Road Trip is also brought to you by Moterra Campervans, a luxury campervan rental company for iconic road trips. Their top-of-the-line vans are available at 7 locations located near America's best outdoor adventure destinations. They have consistently earned the highest customer ratings in the industry, making Moterra campervans your gateway to adventure without sacrificing on comfort or service.
That's true, and initially we wanted to take this journey in a 1960s VW bus, but thankfully we found Moterra instead. With 3 van options, we took the Pop Top Classic, which sleeps 4 and is best for those who want to maximize floor space and storage. This was critical for us because it needed to sleep the entire crew, we needed space to edit, and we were traveling with large amounts of equipment, luggage, and other goodies that we picked up along the way.
And this van took us through all 3,580 miles of the trip. Super comfortable and sweet to drive.
And actually, Moterra offers fully planned itineraries if you'd rather leave the planning to someone else.
Visit gomoterra.com/swell. That's gomoterra.com/swell.
This episode is also brought to you by Taurus. Taurus is leading the charge in home energy storage. Taurus makes it easy to achieve energy independence and a greener tomorrow. The Taurus station provides everything you need to generate clean power, efficiently store electricity, and easily manage your energy use.
And installing a Taurus station offers plenty of benefits, including save money on your electricity bill,
also ensure energy security with backup power during outages,
reduce carbon emissions with renewables.
You can also automate EV charging and HVAC systems with 100% renewables.
And enjoy unrivaled system monitoring and support.
If you like the sound of those benefits, get a quote to build your Taurus station in less than 30 seconds. Super easy at taurus.co. That's TORUS.co. Now, let's get back to the episode.
Probably just perseverance. Yeah. You got to keep going.
That's perfect.
And that's what we've had to do for this business, right?
Yeah. Just set little goals and keep going. For me, on year 1, I couldn't think about year 3. I didn't even think I was making it to year 1. So I was like, get to 6 months and see where you're at. And then at 6 months, I set a goal of okay, I've made it 6 months. Let's see what happens after a year. So I think it's taking things in small digestible bites. The same way we do it with organizing too.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of the Kiln Road Trip. Be sure to follow along on the rest of the journey, and you can do that in 2 ways. 1, subscribe to the podcast, whether you're listening on Apple, Spotify, or maybe even watching on YouTube, and follow along on all of our social media platforms, whether you're on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or TikTok, at the Swell Pod. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next episode.